But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Tuesday, May 9th. This is episode number 67. Welcome to the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. This is the 9x9. My name is Everett Delorme from Toronto, sunny Toronto. Well, actually, it's clouded over a little bit now. And joined, as always, by the one, the only Mr. Rob St. Clair from down in Chicago. It has been a busy week. Not busy in the sense of a lot of matches like we usually have, but just busy with so much going on. All the leagues are coming to culmination. It's been fantastic. We had the NCAA men's Final Four, or Final Seven, Final Eight, Final what? I don't even know what it is anymore,
Whatever.
Rob. But we're going to talk about that some as well. Some big VLA stuff later on this week as well. So, but first and foremost, Rob, how you doing? You doing well over there?
I'm great. This is a very fun time to be talking about volleyball because there's really only like a week and a half left in the entire club season. Like all the stuff we've been talking about for like 8 straight months is really coming down to pretty much this week. We've had, I think, really just the German league is the German men's league is the only one that's fully wrapped up by now, and we'll talk about that later on the show. But other than that, we're diving into the finals here, and the Champions League finals a week from Sunday. So this is it. This like week and a half, like 10-day stretch. This is it. This is when the good stuff really happens. So I'm excited to get into it. Shall we start with the men's Scudetto playoffs? Want to go to the Italy men's side?
Absolutely. Last week when we wrapped things up, they had just only played the one game. Now they have played two, a couple of banger matches. And I'm excited to get into it and shut up the trolls in the Discord who basically say that we're idiots because Trentino has now gone up 2-1 in this series. And Rob, you and I were chatting just now before off air and a little bit over the weekend. I think they're very, very lucky that this series isn't already over, right? I think they're very, very lucky that Trentino hasn't come away with a 3-0 sweep, a 3-donger in the series, and taking it away. Lube did really, really well in the first 2 sets of, what was it, Thursday's match?
That was, yes. Game 2 was Thursday in Civitanova Marche,
Yeah. I think they did great to go up 2-0, and I was like, man, this might be a series. We might see this go the distance. But then Trentino fought back. Lube was able to take it in that 5th set, and then, man, Sunday's match was almost a snooze fest, as it was all Trentino just absolutely dominating with a beautiful 3-0 win, and they are 1 win away from taking their first Scudetto in a number of years.
I like what you said. Lube is lucky to even be in this position. They are lucky the series is not over. They are very lucky to have escaped with that win in match number 2 because, like you said, they went up 2-0. They were actually up, I think, 13-10 in the 5th and almost blew that. Like they had to win that one in overtime. So that was definitely closer than it should have been, but sure enough, they've extended the series a little bit. So we can talk about let's talk about game 2 first because it was certainly more dramatic with the way that it finished. To skip ahead to the match point that Lube won, how about Luciano DiCecco playing defense, eh? Going like collapsing towards one of the boards, kick saving a ball, and then reading an off-speed tip to scoop it up, and Nikolov put it away at 16-15 to win the match. We give DiCecco a little bit of heat for being old and slow, but he turned back the clock on that one.
You know what? He can do it sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
DiCecco can get out there and play some defense, move around, especially in these points. You don't win an Olympic medal, you don't win multiple Scudettos without being able to hustle, especially in the playoffs. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that might have been one of DiCecco's best games all playoffs. The way he fed Chinese, what, 18 points. He was 17 for 19 this one, hitting 89%. He was just
completely ridiculous,
just absolutely unconscious, and that was truly just due to the masterfulness of Checo just setting him up. Of course, Chinyeze is fantastic as well, but someone needs to get him the ball. And it was very much shades of seasons past when you have that the Checo and Simone connection. It's just not the same with Chinyeze, right? Like I think Chinyeze needs a little bit more of a structured setter to play around, whereas just the free flowing that DeCecco and Simone have brought over the past few years was fantastic. Nonetheless, Chinyeze was the MVP in that one. He had 18 points. Zaitsev was pretty good as well too. And to me, DeCecco just had a fantastic game, and you could tell that he was into it. He plays defense when he's into it.
Yes, he does. And we've talked several times this year about DeCecco and kind of Lube in general's ability sometimes to lock in as a team. Sometimes they do that, and sometimes they don't. You can pretty easily tell which day is which. And that performance by Chinyeze was unbelievable. It would have been crazy if Lube had wasted that, like a 17 for 19 game, and have lost the match, which they very nearly did. Quite different from game 3, which we'll talk about in a minute. Actually, I think we should just talk about it now. This was Lube not locked in at all. And this was this is Trentino at their best. And what we're hearing, and people are talking about it in the chat right now, is that there's a great chance that Ivan Zaitsev is done for the series. They've been doing some tests on his hitting shoulder, some sort of muscular issue in his right shoulder, not looking good for game 4. And even though Trentino has an injury to a starter of their own, Stresko Litsinas is done for the series with a back issue, Lube losing Zaitsev is a bigger loss, especially kind of being their heart and soul of the team, as we talked about for a few weeks. If Zaitsev doesn't play game 4, I think it's going to look a lot like what we saw in game 3, basically an hour in a shower.
Absolutely. I think just to go back to game 2 briefly, game 2 serving for Lube was like the serving matchup from game 2 to game 3 was a world of difference. Game 2, you had Lube going 9 aces, 18 errors, which is a really good ratio. Trentino 5 to 26. But then you move on to game 3. That's 8 aces and 12 errors for Trentino in a 3-set match. It's just absolutely ridiculous. No aces and 12 errors for Lube. So that's truly just dictated the matches for me. But you're absolutely right, Rob. If Lube loses Zaitsev, if Trentino loses, not if Trentino doesn't have Lisniak, Dahir has come in and done quite well. He serves pretty tough. He hits good balls out of the middle. Like he's a decent option, absolutely, for any team. But if you lose Zaitsev, that means you need to bring in Gabby Garcia on the right. That means Nikolov has to pass and serve receive. And that's the team that went down 2-0 in the first round, right? That's the team that kind of like struggled their way through the regular season, not being the Lube that we recognize, right? So I think that without Ivan Zaitsev, things are looking very, very grim. Because let's be honest, Trentino absolutely dominated in this match. Like it wasn't even close. They dominated in every facet. Offensively, from the baseline, blocking, they had 9 blocks as well in this match compared to Lube, only 2 for Lube. It was just complete and utter destruction for Trentino. And when you're taking away the heart and soul from Lube for the next match, yikes, that's when things get scary.
Big trouble. Yeah, Lube's numbers in this third match were just downright terrible. You mentioned the serving, 0 aces to 12 errors, 5% perfect passing, 21% positive passing, aced 8 times. That's not going to get it done. And the thing about losing Zaitsev, not only has he allowed Nikolov to step out of the passing pattern, like you said, Zaitsev's also Italian. So if you lose that Italian spot in the lineup, you're going to have to do one of 2 things. You're going to either have to bench Chinyeze, which is a bad option, or you're going to have to bench one of Yant or Nikolov for Mattia Botolo. Also a bad option. So, or you can move Nikolov and line them up as a pure opposite and have Botolo and Yant be the outside hitters. Those are the options, and none of them are good without Ivan Zaitsev available. And it is sounding like that Zaitsev, match 4 is on Friday, by the way, Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Not looking like Ivan Zaitsev's going to play, and there's a great chance that we'll be talking on next week's show about Trentino winning a Scudetto.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to go and say it's a guarantee. There's been a lot of upsets this year.
Yes,
there's been a lot of things that have happened throughout the season that have surprised even me. But right now, much like just a quick shout out to Picenza, who won that third place match quite convincingly 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 over Milano. You could tell that Milano just ran out of steam. You know, they overextended themselves by beating Perugia. They took Lube to the limit. Like, they did so well. And then once they got to that third place match, you can tell that there was just nothing left in the tank. For me, that's what it feels like with Lube at this point. Other than those two first sets in game number 2, they just really haven't been in that series all of that much. Like even in game 1, as I said, everyone on the Discord has been like, oh, Lube outplayed them. No. I mean, I think maybe to the untrained eye, you're going to think that Lube outplayed them. But anyone who's coached ever is going to look at that match and be like, no, Trentino does all the little things and all the things that you need to do. Whereas Lube does some fantastic offensive things sometimes, right? Whereas Trentino's there, point in, point out.
Exactly. On that point, I want to resurface a take that I had in last week's show. I want to see if you agree with it now that we've got 2 more matches in the books. Trentino reminds me a lot of the Italian national team that won the world championship, not in that they are the best, they're playing the highest level of volleyball we've ever seen, but that their attention to detail is amazing, and they bring opposing teams' levels down by totally bending the match to Trentino's own style, the way that the Simone Gianelli-led Italian men did to win the world championship last year. Does that seem right to you now that we've seen 3 matches in this series?
I mean, it seemed right to me as when you said it last week, and it seemed right to me, back at the beginning of the season in October. It's so hard that they wouldn't be when you look at how many of their players come from that system. You've got Lavia Micheletto, who were on the court for that Italian team. Spertoli is the backup, and he's part of that system. Like the Italian way, the way that national team plays, bleeds into their national team. And I honestly think it might be one of the reasons why Perugia has struggled over the years, because of their lack of Italian identity and the way that they just kind of pack in fantastic players. And even Lube up to a little bit, like if you look at who their Italians are, they don't have the top Italians anymore. It's the guys who are leading the national team. Trentino does, right? And you're really seeing them succeed quite a bit for that reason right now.
Yeah, very well said. So, yeah, like we said, match 4 is on Friday. See if Trentino can get that one done on the road, win their first Scudetto since I think 2015 was the last Scudetto that they won. Let me fact check that really quick. It has been a while. Yes, 2015. Trentino 2015, Modena 2016. It's been almost exclusively Lube ever since. So would be a very big opportunity for Trentino to win it on Friday. Or if it needs to go game 5, Trentino needs to win it at home. Maybe that could happen as well. I'm not sure what day that would be. Probably by next week's show, if I had to guess. So great chance that next week on next Tuesday's show, we're talking about an Italian champion.
Yeah, I would expect so too. I think Trentino has been so close so many times in the past recent years. And let's be honest, this is still one of the most storied organizations and clubs in world volleyball. Even though they're somewhat newer to everything. They bought their club from Ravenna at the beginning of the 2000s, 2001, I believe, to get their spot in A1. But since then, they have been truly the cream of the crop, and they continue to do it. I mean, Matej Kaczynski, 4 aces on Sunday was just absolutely unreal. And I don't. It's hard for me to see them to go and lose at Lube without Ivan Zaitsev.
Yeah, Kaczynski looks like a machine. And now I have said a couple times this season that while we praise Trentino's just their club top to bottom organizational success, which is a big deal, we talk about it all the time. They do have a little bit of a bridesmaid thing going on the last couple years with their Champions League finals, but no wins. A couple Scudetto finals, no wins. This is their opportunity right here to win a major event, being the Scudetto. This is it for Trentino, and they must take advantage of this opportunity, especially if Lube is not going to have Ivan Zaitsev. I think that they will, but maybe if they sense that pressure of, oh man, this is ours for the taking, maybe if that pressure gets to them, we could be talking about something crazy next week. But I think this is Trentino's series.
Yeah, I don't see that pressure getting to them. Like, once again, this is a team full of guys who have won at that level before. team full of guys who have won world championships, who have won Scudettos, who have won European championships. Once again, I think it's going to be very, very tough for Luka. But once in playing at home, it maybe could happen, but then still you have to go back to Trentino for game number 5 after that.
Yep, I agree. All right. Speaking of Italian championships, I think that we've got plenty to catch up on the women's side in the Lega Volley Femminile. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness is absolutely right. Because last week Milano and Scandici still had to play their last game. They did. Milano squeezes it through. I'm going to call it an upset because I didn't think that they're going to be able to do it. I know on paper it's not an upset, but I'm going to be calling it an upset. But wow, to me, the way that they squeezed through to now be tied 1-1 in the series with Conegliano is absolutely insane. But let's go back to that first game against Scandici.
Yeah, so this was nuts. Malonza went up 2-0, 25-21, 25-20. Then lost the third in overtime, lost the fourth by a lot. It was looking like the Discord was popping off as if we were going to see the ultimate figure it out of the week award recipient, Malonza blowing a 2-0 lead in game 3 of the semifinals. But sure enough, they figured it out. I mean, MVP of that series for sure had to be Jordan Thompson. 57 attempts is ridiculous. 26 for 57 on pretty good efficiency was very, very impressive. Both the Malonza middles, Rafaela Foley and Stevanovic started that one and was really good. Both of them were awesome, and they were able to overcome some of the weaknesses in their outside hitter position and the weaknesses and the inconsistencies that we've been talking about all season long. But we in the Discord were freaking out that Malonza was about to blow a 2-0 lead, and fortunately for them and for their online reputation of us clowning them on the show, they were able to rescue that. But it was kind of the perfect match for that series and for the season that these two teams have had.
Yeah, and absolutely. Just like a back and forth, a tail. Like it honestly reminded me a little bit of game 2 of Lube versus Trentino.
Yeah.
Lube went up, and they looked like they were dominating. Trentino comes back. It's the same thing for me in this one. Malonza dominates. Scandici comes back. Antropova was unconscious, especially coming back in those ones. She ended the match with 27 points. Zhu Ting was pretty solid as well. Not as efficient offensively, but still put up 18 points. But you're right, Jordan Thompson was just absolutely dominant, and some good help in the middle there for Malonza.
And so then Malonza pretty quickly turns around and starts the finals against the Giants that have been Conegliano all year. And on Saturday, Malonza put up one hell of a fight. What is that, 15-11 in the fifth? About as close as it gets. Again, Jordan Thompson, this time 71 attempts. Is as much as we've seen in one of the top leagues all year, maybe ever. 71 attempts is completely insane. Not far behind her, Isabel Hawk was 65. This is a slugfest in game 1. But the moral of the story that I took out of this first match wasn't the performance of the opposites. It was the terrible performance by every outside hitter on both teams. Kelsey Robinson, 4 for 31? Ugh. What is going on? Both teams were really bad on the outside, and everybody who came on off the bench didn't help at all.
No, yeah, 4 for 31. That's
horrible.
That's an epic stat.
Why did you keep setting her the ball?
Yeah, to me, Alexa Gray has to still be injured and not 100% ready because, I guess Kelsey Robinson was passing lights out.
Yeah.
83% positive, 63% perfect. That's unreal. But you're right. This one was an absolute slugfest. 2 of the best opposites in the game going toe-to-toe. And this just once again reaffirms a little bit more that this feels like early 2010s men's volleyball, where you just have a big right side and you're just going to let them slug away, because that's exactly what this is. As you said, 32 points for Hawk, 36 for Jordan Thompson. The fact that Jordan Thompson got set 71 times and only had 1 unforced error, to me,
that's pretty amazing.
Is pretty amazing. She did get blocked eight times, but that's going to happen when you're just picking up that much junk. But just not getting any help from the outside. Even Jordan Larson, 8 for 23, not getting set that much. If you're getting set 23 times over the course of, like, she was the next most sets for Malonza, 23 times over the course of a 5-setter. That's just ridiculous. I mean, at least Conegliano spread that offense out a little bit. 30 some attempts for both Plummer and Kelsey Robbins, then Cook, and 24 in the middle for Lubian. But man, that was just an absolute slugfest from two of the best in the game.
Yeah, Marina Lubian, by the way, really good. I think she was the MVP in this first match. She's part of a pretty crazy mix of Italian middles. I have no idea what their national team is going to do this summer. Even on this Conegliano team, they have 4 very capable starters, and 3 of them are Italian. And so this one, it's good to see Sarah Farr back healthy and playing well. So it was her and Lubian, but Federica Squarcini is good. Robin de Cruyff is a veteran. Like, that's a lot of good middle talent. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with that, but I think that Conegliano, honestly, was lucky to get away with this win with as bad as their outside hitters played. And that, I think, can parlay into the match today, where Malonza at home came out and 3-donged what we thought to be the best team in all of Italy, which I still think that they are. But I haven't seen Conegliano look this clueless since the Fenerbahce series in Champions League, and that was just pitiful. Again, the struggling of Conegliano's outside hitters. Also, Malonza played basically a perfect game today. There's a lot to break down with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was a really, really good game for Malonza. 19 points in 3 sets for Jordan Thompson is very, very strong. 6 aces on the day, 6 blocks as well. Just that serve and block game for Malonza, really, really strong. And honestly, I didn't see this coming. Like,
no, me neither.
I was keeping an eye on this game, and I was watching it, and I just kept on looking at the score and was like, what is going on? And to be honest, like, I kept on expecting Conegliano, like, they're going to wake up. They're going to wake up. Something has to happen. Something needs to go. And they just didn't. Malonza kept the pressure on really, really nice. And other than Isabel Hawk with 21 points, how can your next top scorer only have 4?
Insane.
How?
Insane.
How? I mean, like, half the team scored 4.
5 different players.
6 even.
Sarah
Farr,
players.
Lubian, Gennari, de Cruyff, Squarcini, Robinson Cook, Plummer,
one for 13, 3 errors.
1 for 13. Like, my goodness, what is happening to Conegliano right now? And for Malonza to figure it out, they're figuring it out at the right time right now.
Yeah, they played a perfect game today. They really did. Miriam Silla was the MVP. She was awesome. She was everywhere. Alessia Oro, the setter, had 7 points. Outscored everybody on Conegliano's team except for Isabel Hawk. Yeah, she had 2 aces, 3 kills, and 2 blocks. That's incredible. Great time for Malonza to figure it out. I'm not convinced that's sustainable for them. We've seen their roller coaster of a season, but I think the question marks here need to be talked about for Conegliano's outside hitters. What is happening here? Seriously, this reminds me of the Fenerbahce series when we're like, oh, they're going to figure it out. They're Conegliano. They've been here before. They're going to figure it out. And then they just didn't, and they got steamrolled in 5 sets in that series. And this one was the same way. Like you said, we were expecting Conegliano to figure out, and they just didn't. How do you fix this outside hitter problem that they've got going on right now?
That's tough because all 3 of your outside hitters are in the negatives. Plummer was a -6. Robinson Cook was a -1. Same thing with Gennari. So one of them needs to get up into the positives, right? They need to start playing some positive volleyball. And I don't know if it's the setting from Volleyball or is it that Milano has just completely planned so well against them, but they're just not getting the job done. Like, they need to start putting away some balls, and at the very least, as I said, get into some positive volleyball, because being negative in the finals like this just isn't going to work, especially with the way that Jordan Thompson is putting the ball away. And we're going to start seeing Isabel Hawk get tired. I really think that in the next match we're going to start to see her get tired, because once again, 42 attempts
in 3 sets.
Yeah,
crazy.
Like, she has 42 attempts and the team had 112. Like, that's insane. I mean, on the other side, Thompson has 40 attempts and the team has 107. So that's even a little bit more. but they're picking it up in other ways. They're serving tough, they're blocking tough, right? 12 points in total from the serve and block for Malonza. That's really strong, and it's only 3 for Conegliano. So they need to find some ways to start imposing themselves back on Malonza. And it's weird, like you haven't seen them be in the situation, except for the one situation that you mentioned, Rob, their series against Fenerbahce.
It's very, very weird, and it's not like putting new people in off the bench is necessarily going to fix the problem. Like Janari is basically a watered down version of Robinson Cook in terms of her play style. She's more of an L2 passer defender, don't set her that many balls. And then Alexa Gray, we did see her very briefly today, which was a nice little spark. She came and went 2 for 6, and then we didn't hear from her again. Like, she's a little more of a scoring type, but I don't know. I don't really know what you can do here. I also did see in the Discord, and I don't know if there's confirmed reports about this, but I heard somebody in the Discord say that Voloj's hurt. And that wouldn't surprise me just looking at the way she moved around today. Uncharacteristic, like weird mistakes, like over-rotating, setting tight on balls, really badly located bump sets, which is a strength of hers usually. So we'll have to dig into that and see if there's some Italian media outlet reporting on her health. But this is not the gimme of a series now that we thought it was going to be. Can Malonza keep this level up? Huge question mark. Can Conegliano figure it out like a secondary scorer beside Hawk? Also a huge question mark. It's a lot more compelling than I thought it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see Catherine Plummer on the bench instead of Alexa Gray. I mean, that may be a little bit of bias and homerism on that, but like you said, Alexa Gray is known to score points. I know she's coming off that injury, but she can put the ball away. And maybe you just go to her from the beginning, because Catherine Plummer has not been it. And once again, we bring up Catherine Plummer, who struggles in the gut check time, and I've been, I know I've been tough on her the past few seasons, especially with Team USA last summer, but she's been really fantastic this season, and I was ready to eat my words, but sure enough, you come to the finals and she stunk. Like, she has been really, really bad.
Yep. 2 bad games. So huge opportunity for really everybody in both teams, every position, both teams. Now, especially for Malonza, they have a lot more life in this series that even maybe they thought that they might have at this point. So they go back to Conegliano. When's game 3? Let's check on that. Game 3 is the 11th, so that is Thursday. And then game 4, pretty quickly, they turn around on Saturday. So 2 in pretty quick succession there. We're going to get at least 4 games in this series. And then this really could head to game 5. If that, like the Malonza home crowd today was incredible. If they can put up that sort of an atmosphere again in game 4, even if Malonza's down 2-1 at that point, this could go 5. And I never would have picked that at the beginning of the year.
No, me neither. Not at all. I mean, at no point this season did I think that any team could be competing with Conegliano. So that just, to me, more and more smells like there's something up with Voloj, because she has been the linchpin of this team consistently, not only this year, but for so many years.
Right. And just one more footnote about the Lega Volley Femminile. They do not play a third place series. So as far as Champions League's berths goes, it goes down to the 2 teams that tied for third who finished better in the regular season. That was Scandici. So Scandici, after winning CV Cup this year, they go back to Champions League next year.
All right.
So we have a point in the chat from our Turkish friend Berkay that I like, and that is a good segue into what we want to talk about next. And he says that watching the Lega Volley Femminile the last week or so just shows him, and kind of me as well, that the Sultanlar League in Turkey has the world's best outside hitters. So the Sultanlar League, there is a ton to catch up with. Obviously, Turkey, they had the earthquake.
Women's volleyball has been insane.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely insane over the past week.
This has been the nuttiest week ever. Part of it is because the Turkish league still has so much rushing to catch up to do, because it took about a month off from the earthquake. And now they're playing playoff games every other day. Literally every other day, there have been playoff games played. Starting back last Wednesday, Fenerbahce came out and beat Vakifbank 3-1. That's something that none of us were expecting after having just lost the Turkish Cup final to them 3 days before. Fenerbahce completely turns it around. Uh, and speaking of great outside hitters, you have clearly the top two in the world in Gabi and Arina Fedorovtseva featured in that series. Let's talk about this match first before we move on, because there's so much to talk about. There are matches every other day. We should first talk about Fenerbahce beating Vakifbank, which nobody expected.
No, and I mean, it's so poetic the way that they did it too. Down 0-1 in the series, needing the golden set. It's just shades of Champions League. You absolutely have to love it. And just the mental fortitude for Fenerbahce to me, because they had such a high up earlier in the year, and it looks like they were rolling. It looked like they were one of the best teams in the world, truly. After adding Melissa Vargas, and they get knocked out, lose game one, and we were talking about it, and it was just like, I think Vakifbank is back on this, and it's going to be Vakifbank versus Izashabasha, just like in the Champions League finals. But Fenerbahce, they found the will to win. They figured it out, and now they're on a 3-game win streak. This was just textbook, in the way that they are spreading the offense out as well, through everyone. Everyone is getting a piece. Is just beautiful.
It's a fascinating turnaround for a league like the Turkish league, which we've known all year to be a 3-team league. Think about it. Fenerbahce won the Super Cup. Nobody won the Club World Championship because that went to Conegliano. Vakifbank won the Turkish Cup. Eczacıbaşı went undefeated in the regular season and took the 1 seed. And then Fenerbahce now in the leading the final, which we'll talk about in a minute. They're not even playing the Champions League final next weekend. That's Vakifbank versus Eczacıbaşı. It's insane. So I want to go back to the very first match where Fenerbahce beat Vakifbank 3-1. The big story here was Paula Egonu negative efficiency, 9 for 32 with 11 errors. That's not going to get it done. Fenerbahce as a team wasn't even overwhelmingly good. Only 6 aces to 13 errors is pretty good serving numbers, and that's classic Fenerbahce, applying a lot of service pressure. But Vakifbank's not going to succeed when Egonu is negative efficiency. That just is what it is. But the real drama came in the second leg of that series. Vakifbank won 3-0, easily, 23-17-21, but Fenerbahce somehow took revenge for that Champions League. They took revenge for the Turkish Cup, and they pull something out of their hat to win a golden set 15-11, and that changes everything in all women's volleyball.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the first leg, the Fenerbahce win, and you look at their offensive output, only 3 errors as a team, Fenerbahce. That's only 3 unforced errors. They got blocked 7 times, but only 3 unforced errors is ridiculous, considering that Egonu on the other side had 8 herself, 15 in total. So 47% hitting not efficiency, but just hitting percentage versus 5. That's going to do that every single time. And you know what? Vakifbank really cleaned up their act in game number 2. But the thing is, with this Fenerbahce team, they're so offensively powered. And if you get there's so many players on their team that can hurt you in a set to 15 like that. They're so lethal. And to me, it kind of seemed like Vakifbank took their foot off the pedal. They were just going to coast into that golden set match.
That's the thing about Fenerbahce, like you said, is that they can just catch fire. I'm seeing if I can pull up the stats for set 4 only, or sorry, the golden set only. And unfortunately, you can't. You can do the 3 sets of the normal match, but not the golden set, which is a bummer. But that's what it takes. You can catch fire from the service line. You can go on one run, and that can change your entire season. And sure enough, I mean, Vakifbank rolled in with 3-0 momentum, and then lost a golden set. We should dig back the last couple of years and see if we can correlate the result of the match into the result of the immediately following golden set, because it seems to me like this does kind of happen where a team can get steamrolled in a match and then immediately turn around and win a golden set. I remember Zaxa did it either last year or the year before, in one of their Champions League runs. I think it was 2 years ago, the first one. I'm pretty sure they lost 3-0 to Lube Civitanova and then won the immediately following golden set to advance. And I know that Nakaru Solare did it to beat I think, Modena in CEV Cup this year. Like, that happens more than it should. We should dig into that.
For Piacenza, I think it was
Maybe
Piacenza,
that was it.
because Modena won the CEV Cup.
They did. I meant in the semis when Rusolari beat Modena. I think it might have happened there too.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I think it has something to do with just, like if you're a team that just has to win the golden set, I wonder if you're just thinking about that golden set. All you're thinking is about that race to 15, because it's way easier in your head to win a race to 15 than to win 3 sets to 25. And so I wonder almost if it's a bait and switch, right? Do you show one game plan for 3 sets and then you show a completely different game plan for the 4th set, for that golden set, and just in terms of defense and blocking and how you're serving, make that other team feel good, and then shut the door for them for that golden set?
Be a risky play, but it does make sense when you talk about it like that. When you win that first match, and that's the advantage you have, knowing that you at least have a golden set to fall back on. But it is crazy, this Fenerbahce turnaround, because we were talking on last week's show some of the turmoil that seemed to be following them around. We had people talking in the chat about Zoran Terzic and Ada Erdem going at it publicly, at like all these stupid organizational arguments that have popped up in women's volleyball this year. And then sure enough, they turn it around, they win a golden set to knock Vakifbank out of the Turkish playoffs, and then they promptly start the final series so fast, and already 2 matches have been played in the finals. It's nuts. Sunday, Fenerbahce beats Eczacıbaşı 3-1. Earlier today, Fenerbahce again beats Eczacıbaşı 3-2. And in a best-of-5 series, Fenerbahce has one hand around the trophy and 3 chances to win the entire regular season. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to Fenerbahce and their organizational turmoil from earlier in the semifinals and leading up to this, I do think that, to me, is a team that addressed it, right? That to me is not a team that tried to sweep it under the rug. They didn't try to, like Scandici. Like it's clear that Barbolini and Pietrini just never got on the same page, to me, anyways. But for me, it's clear that Fenerbahce got the team in the room, got the executives all there, and they just hashed it out. They had a come to Jesus moment, and now they're all on the same page. And sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But when it does work, I feel like you have a powerful feeling of team unity, of everyone going in the same direction. And because that's what it feels like for Fenerbahce. Like, they've got on the same page, they're going in the same direction, and they haven't looked back. And right now, man, like it's almost like, to me, like Eczacıbaşı just hasn't been challenged in a while, right? And Fenerbahce has had to slug through so many tough series, especially in Champions League, playing Conegliano and then playing Vakifbank, whereas Eczacıbaşı just kind of floated through everything, hasn't really been challenged. And now they're paying for it.
Yeah, they are. So Eczacıbaşı, by the way, they got past THY in the semifinals, no problem. That was a 3-1, 3-1. But now they also have a Champions League final to prepare for. A week from Sunday, they got to play Vakifbank. But now their backs are completely against the wall, down 0-2, having gone undefeated in the regular season. And watching the match today, at least, which was an amazing match, by the way, there's something about the Maja Anjanovic, Tijana Bošković combination that doesn't look right to me. Like, I've been watching Maja Anjanovic set for a couple of years, and she has maybe the best set of hands I've ever seen on a female setter. She's unbelievable technically, but there are some head-scratching decisions that she makes. Some of the telegraphed, like, very obvious sets to Bošković in particular, which it's hard to criticize setting one of the best players in the world, but the Eczacıbaşı offense doesn't look. It feels disjointed and broken and sort of not at all smooth. Where even Fenerbahce, who we talked about as having one of the most simplistic offenses in women's volleyball that we've ever seen, they look a lot cleaner. They're even set in the middle a little bit. Their middles, Ada Erdem and whoever the other Turkish middle is. I think it's Asli Kalac. Yeah, she's been good. They've been better than the Eczacıbaşı middles. They were better than the Vakifbank middles in the semis. It's weird to see it like this. And now it's gut check time for Eczacıbaşı and sort of a decision-making time in their franchise. What are they going to focus on this next week? If they want to win the Sultanlar Ligi, they need to win 3 matches in a row and then they have to play for a Champions League final.
Yeah, that's tough, and it does seem like they're back against the wall. And you're right. There's just something weird with this offense. I don't know what it is about Turkey, where they are just completely disregarding the middle altogether. But there's just no chemistry between Ujanovic and her middles, and I think that's really is the worst part for Boskovic, is the fact that there's nothing really pulling her away. Everyone knows the ball is going to her,
Right.
whereas on the other side of the net, you have 3 outsides that you could legitimately give the ball to at any point in time.
3
right?
bangers.
3
like big,
absolute
high
bangers.
ball bangers.
100%. And Voronkova has done an all right job, but they're just not giving her that much volume, right? She had 20, what was it on today's match, she had 25 attempts. Like 25 attempts for me, and you're kind of that second option in a 5-set match is not a lot.
Yeah, you need a little more than that. But
yeah.
Also, we got to talk about Hande Baladin being bad. 1 for 8, 2 errors.
Yeah.
Saliha Shahin comes in off the bench and is better. That's been the story of Eczacıbaşı and of the Turkish national team, is inability to find a productive Turkish outside hitter consistently. But is it too late? Does Eczacıbaşı have a chance to bring this back after going undefeated in the regular season?
Maybe. They need to start getting that. Obviously they need to win the next game, and they need to do so emphatically, in my opinion. They really have to wring a little bit of soul out of Fenerbahce and kind of take away any of their belief. Because if they're able to squeak away like a 5-setter and Fenerbahce still comes away from the match feeling good about themselves, it's done in game number 4, in my opinion. So they really need to go down there and throw the hammer down. I'm not entirely sure how. The obvious answer is just to give more balls to Boskovic, but I don't know if that's an actual answer, especially.
I'm not sure that is the answer. I actually think it kind of needs to be the opposite. I might think about a setter change. I might think about Elif Shahin off the bench. I think that then she's played this year. She's coming off the bench, and it's worked for parts of the year. And maybe just a different mindset, maybe a little more middle involvement, maybe a little jolt of energy and confidence. Who knows? I think that you're never going to pull Tijana Boskovic ever, right? So if the offense in this next match, you're going to have to assess pretty quickly if the offense is working in this next match. It's on Thursday, by the way, 12:30 Eastern. You're going to have to assess that offense pretty quickly. And if it's looking like you're just going to lose this series, I think you make a setter change. I think that's the first thing you've got to do.
I think you really, really need to focus on your serve receive, right? They have been outpassed consistently by Fenerbahce in
which
this
doesn't
series.
Make sense, because that is not a strength of Fenerbahce's.
No, it absolutely isn't. But they've just been out there and balling. Like Hande Baladin, not great. Saliha wasn't fantastic either. Like they're going after the libero, and Voronkova as well. And Voronkova, 24% positive, 7% perfect.
That's not going to do it.
It's just not going to do it, right? So it's really, really hard for Eczacıbaşı to even let the middle swing and release them at all, because they're just out of system so often. So to me, I think you would need to stabilize the serve receive first. Maybe you bring in Boskovic and have a 4-person serve receive whenever you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think, to me, it all comes down to that first touch.
Serving and serve reception. Yep. Serving and serve reception, the name of the game in volleyball at every level. And I'm surprised we haven't brought up this number yet. Today, 5 sets, 15 aces for Fenerbahce. 15. That's crazy. Crazy numbers. 5 for Federer-Seva.
You know what? And that's the thing, is if they can just break that serving, like that's exactly what happened with Vakifbank in the semifinals. And if they could just break that serving, I know it's tough, and then they might have a chance.
Right. Yeah, 13 aces as well for Fenerbahce in the 4-setter in game 1 of this series. And that's been their path to success. Can they keep it up and win one more match? I guess we'll see starting on Thursday. So that's been extremely spicy, a ton. Like 4 matches of ridiculous volleyball in the Turkish league since our last show. Also, it was crazy. last week we had just talked about the Turkish Cup. We hadn't even started the semifinals yet at that point. Now already the third place series is over. Vakif Bank, after losing to Fenerbahce, they beat THY twice, including earlier today. So Vakif Bank takes third. They will play Champions League next year. That series is already over. Now Vakif Bank has nothing to worry about for a week and a half except the Champions League final. It's Acıbadem, different story. So keep that in the back of your head as well.
They just get to sit there and watch all these matches. Rob, before we close out this chapter of the show, if Fenerbahce wins on Thursday, who's your MVP?
Ooh. And either Federer or Vargas would be easy picks. You could like just stack up their numbers in the 3-match series, and whoever's better, you can give it to them. But also, I think Makris deserves some credit. The setter for Fenerbahce deserves a little bit of credit here. Not doing anything too crazy. We talked about Fenerbahce's offense being simple, but making very few mistakes. You brought up earlier Fenerbahce's lack of unforced errors. I think the setter deserves a little bit of credit for that. And just putting the ball in decent spots because they're out of system a decent amount. Just putting the ball high, putting it the right distance off the net inside the sideline for people to take rips at the ball.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. I think I would still have to go with Federer the way that she's dominated from the baseline. Like she was a plus 16 in today's match. She's just been fantastic. But yeah, it's tough. Like that Fenerbahce team has been playing really, really good.
Yeah, so Acıbadem backs against the wall. We'll see if they can pull it off. And before we move on to another team with their backs against the wall, that being Zaksa, which I'm very excited to talk about. Before we talk about that, we got to talk about that volleyball.story, Everett. Let the people know you got the spicy volleyball logo on over there.
Of course, this is the OG. If you've been around the Discord,
OG.
this is the OG.
Spicy
I remember
hot pepper.
I remember I made it drunkenly one night as kind of a joke. And I threw it into the Discord and expected to get clowned upon, and then everyone loved it. And so that's what we've gone with. So if you want, you can go grab one of these and all of our other great merch over at thatvolleyball.store. You get 15% off when you use the code SPICY for the spicy hot pepper. And it's just a nice little way to support us, you know.
Pick up some good stuff. There's a big summer of volleyball events coming up very, very soon, and you're gonna want to look fly. You're gonna want to pick up some of this stuff, and especially if you happen to see us at some certain events, which we'll talk about the next couple weeks. If we see you wearing the merch out in the real world, that's gonna be even cooler.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best in my opinion. I love that. I love that. Big shout out to Two Jacks, who loves wearing his 9x9 and spicy volleyball gear out as he's going to referee games across the OUA. So love to see it.
I want to see a spicy volleyball on. Like, I don't know what your officials wear up in Canada. Depends down here in the States as well. But I want to see spicy volleyballs on officials' uniforms. That'd be sweet.
That would be sweet. We should put together some games or some runs, and that would be like the badge that they wear, is the spicy volleyball badge.
That's a great idea. All right.
That would be good.
Before we move on, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's time for Where's Daddy? I love this segment so much. This is the highlight of my week, getting to hide Daddy Stankovic in one of our assets here on the show. So maybe Daddy Stankovic has already appeared. Maybe he hasn't appeared yet. And remember, if you find Daddy Stankovic, you comment on the video after the stream is over, the timestamp of where he is, and you can get a shout out on the following week's show. So last week, this is probably my best work so far. As we're about to talk about Zaksa versus Jastrzębski in a couple minutes, but first I hid Daddy Stankovic in this photo right here of the lineup there between Zaksa and Jastrzębski before a match. If you don't see Daddy Stankovic, let's zoom in just a little bit more. Ah, there he is. On a friend of the program, Eric Shoji. He looks a little bit different, and there's Daddy Stankovic in last week's show. So we had a couple people get Daddy Stankovic. Our friend Kiro Neri was the first to comment it, and then LFC Luke 98 also found Daddy Stankovic basically immediately, and I think they both beat reigning champ Bassi Lassi in the race to find Daddy Stankovic. So that's one of the best things that we do here on the 9x9. If you find Daddy Stankovic, comment where he is in the timestamp after the show is over. I really liked this one. I hope that Eric happened to have watched this show and noticed that he looked a little bit different in this particular photo.
I hope so as well. Although, given how well his team has been doing recently, I don't think he's going to be watching too much. I think he's been watching a lot of film.
Yeah, watching a lot
Also,
more game
guys,
film.
this is going to be a great time just to remind you, if you like what you're seeing, you like what you're watching, just give us a nice little like. Give us one of those thumbs up for the show. And
We
if you don't,
did get to like 90 something likes on last week's show after 92. That's pretty good. We talked
yeah,
about this is the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. We want 81 likes on every
Eric
week's show.
Stankovic.
Eric Stankovic. Yep, there he is.
That's too good.
There's Daddy. So
That's
we need
awesome.
if you like the Daddy Stankovic segment, thumbs up the video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make it
I
happen.
think at a certain point we're gonna have to have a scoreboard on there too, because Bassi Lassie has been dominating. He was pretty quick on there on it this one as well.
And there he is
So
in the chat. Yeah, all three people who have been our Where's Daddy participants so far are chirping each other in the chat. This is fantastic.
love it. Love to see it. Yeah, give this video a like. Let us know what you think, and if you don't like it, just let us know in the chat, and that'll boost the algorithm for us as well.
Good thinking.
All right, Rob. Let's move on to another spicy series. Moving on to Daddy Stankovic, just absolutely beautiful.
He's beautiful.
Moving on to the men's Plus Liga finals, and I will be the first one to admit did not expect for what is happening to be happening, because Jastrzębski Wajżul has just been absolutely playing out of their minds. On last week's show, Rob, we talked about there's going to need to be two factors for JSW to take it to Zaksa. First of all, Stefan Boyer needed to play the best ball of the season. Check. He's been absolutely unreal, and Fornal needs to be unreal as well. And hot take here, Rob, I think as good as Boyer has been, Fornal has been better.
That you can easily make that case, and that's been just sort of the shock factor of this series so far, is just how well Jastrzębski Węgiel has played. So here's game one at JSW's place last Wednesday, a 3-dong win, 25-20, 25-20, 25-23. Then they turn it around on the road at Zaksa and beat him 3-1. So Jastrzębski can taste the title. They've got 3 chances to win one match and hoist the season trophy, which is insane. Here are some stat lines, and I think this is exactly what Everett's talking about. Through 2 matches, right? Stefan Boyer, game 1, 10 for 18, 39% efficiency. Pretty good. Tomáš Fornal, 9 for 14, 56% efficiency. Even better, right? Moving on, game 2. Stefan Boyer, 17 for 27, 48% efficiency. That's terrific. Tomáš Fornal, 18 for 29, 55% efficiency. Those 2 guys, but Fornal in particular, have been absolutely unbelievable. They've been the 2 best individual players in the series. That's exactly what we said was going to have to happen. Also, we said that JSW was going to have to be great from the service line, and they have been.
They have
been.
15 aces for only 28 errors so far in the
2
season,
matches.
in this series. 6 and 14 in game 1, 9 and 14 in game number 2, and Boyer has been leading that charge. He has 8 aces, 4 in each match. He went 4 aces for 15 serves in match number 1, and then 4 aces on 20 serves in match number 2. He only has 11 errors, 8 aces, 11 errors from Stefan Boyer. And man, it's just been such a good time for these 2 players to figure out their match. And like, we saw Boyer be dominant earlier in the season, and we were like, oh man, this is looking good. And then he started doing his Boyer things. The strip clubs were calling. So now it's clear that Ben Twiniuti did, as I said last show, keep him out of the clubs, keep him at home, and he has just been rolling. And it's almost been anticlimactic in a way, just the way that JSW has just been steamrolling Zaksa in this series.
Yeah, it hasn't been like Zaksa's been bad. They've just been being beaten handily by a better team in these 2 matches. Like, Zaksa's numbers not bad. Kaczmarek's been fine. Bednorz has been fine. Slivka's been fine. Their reception numbers are fine, with the exception of getting aced a bunch, because Jastrzębski is just playing at another level right now. There's nothing that Zaksa's been able to do to slow them down. And, well, I'd say the one statistical area where they've really struggled is the service line, 1 ace to 17 errors in game 1, 3 aces to 17 errors in game 2. And if you compare 4 versus 34 versus, what did you say, like 15 to 28, that is lopsided a serving matchup as you're going to see.
Yeah, it's for me, it's from the baseline, but then also offensive efficiency. When you're looking for these two matches, 43% efficiency for JSW in match number 1, 34 for Zaxa in match number 2. They did improve a little bit into match number 2, 42% for Zaxa, but so did JSW. They bumped that number up to 47%. 47% efficiency is absolutely unreal as a team. It's so spicy. And to me, that's why I think my stars for this series have to go. I've got Fornal number 1, Boyer number 2, and then last week we talked about Yuri Glider, and I think he's been fantastic, and you can tell that he's out there and he's being an emotional rock. But the way that Ben Toniutti has been slinging the rock, has been running this offense, there's no way you have this, that your efficiency is in the 40s, almost in the 50 percentile, without your setter being lights out. So for me, Ben Toniutti has to be that third star so far for JSW in this series.
I like the 3 stars thing from that hockey does all the time in their games. I like that. And we, like you talked about on last week's show, the obvious weakness of having Ben Toniutti as your starting setter is he's a gigantic blocking liability. But if you serve the ball this well, it doesn't matter. You're always out of you're like Zaxa's always out of system. You can do the thing that Toniutti did with Zaxa and does with France sometimes, where he'll just pull off. He won't even bother blocking in out of system situations. You'll just bring the other 2 guys and put up double blocks everywhere, even on the opposing outside hitter. Like, that's the sort of thing that Yashemsky can do when they serve the ball this well. I think that's the difference. It's also why I think that this series is not over yet, because match number 3 is tomorrow. It's Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Serving is volatile. You aren't going to go, what is it, like 9 and 14, 9 aces to 14 errors every match. That's not always going to happen. It is very possible for Zaxa tomorrow to go in and improve their serving, for Yashemsky to cool off serving a little bit, and for it to be a lot more competitive, and Zaxa could easily win it on just kind of narrowing that serving margin just a little bit, because it's been so lopsided so far. This series is not over yet, I promise you.
No, absolutely. And then we've seen so many times that Zaxa can wake themselves up, and this is starting to be one of the best rivalries in volleyball. Just be how many times I absolutely love it. And in the same way, like Turkey on the women's side and Poland on the men's side, really starting for me to question whether or not Italy is the best league in the world anymore. Just the way that this final has gone is just, I absolutely love watching it. And I've been lukewarm on JSW because we saw them be really hyped at the beginning of the season and really, really cool off, but they've really picked it up and they've just been absolutely fantastic. I think they've won 8 matches in a row right now, and they've just been bombing through these playoffs, and they look deadly. But you're right, Zaxa is still Zaxa. This is still one of the best clubs in the world with some of the best athletes in the world, and you can't leave. Like, if JSW needs to win this series, Zaxa's not going to give it to them.
Agreed. I think whoever is going to win this series is going to earn the heck out of it. I like the point you made about comparing the Polish men's and the Turkish women's leagues to their Italian counterparts. I don't think it's even debatable right now that Zaxa or Yashemsky would stomp Trentino or Lube on the men's side in Italy. I mean, Zaxa did it, literally. They literally did beat Trentino. I think they played him 4 times and beat him 3 this year. So
okay.
That we've seen that, and Yashemsky right now is taking it to Zaxa, no problem. And I mean, like everyone's obviously knows, this is a preview of the Champions League final. Like, we're going to get at least 2 more matches between these 2 teams, maybe as many as 4 in the next week and a half, which is outrageous.
I'm not mad about that at all.
Not at all.
I'm really not. I love watching these 2 teams go toe to toe, and I'm really excited what Zaxa can bring to the table for that next match, because I think that's going to be important for them. I really do.
Tomorrow is a huge one. You've got to get in the Discord. I don't know if we've plugged the Discord yet, but it is the best online volleyball community in the world. The link is in the description, and you want to join it for days like tomorrow, because a potential season clinching match for Yashemski is a big deal. So get in the Discord. We will make sure you know where to watch the games. Tomorrow is going to be huge.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. I won't unfortunately be watching. I gotta work. But that's why I keep the Discord updated so I can follow along vicariously through y'all. Rob, there's a question here in the chat. If Zaksa and JW split the Polish and the Seed Champions League trophies, who's the ultimate winner for the season?
Great question. I mean, that literally happened 2 years ago when Zaksa won Champions League and Yashemski won the league title. I don't know what would really break the tie at that point. Maybe like the Polish Cup or Super Cup or something like that. I don't know. We would have to ask the players. I certainly think that Champions League is the more prestigious thing to win, but winning the entire Polish league, especially beating the same team that you're going to play in Champions League in the final series of the Bundesliga, that holds a lot of weight as well, with as good as the Polish league has been all year and as competitive as it's been at the top. So I don't know how to answer that, but people talk about, like, if you win a Champions League, that immediately puts you, like, if you're a starter, like a serious contributor for a Champions League winning team, that it puts you right up there with like all-time great players of your generation if you're out there winning Champions Leagues. I think that's the one that has the longer legacy effect.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, and especially if Zaksa wins their third Champions League.
That would be crazy. I don't think they'll care at all what happens in the Bundesliga if they win 3 Champions Leagues in a row.
Absolutely not. Where is tomorrow's match? Is it at Zaksa
It's at JSW. I'm pretty sure they're just alternating here because the first match was in Yashemski, the second match was in Kędzierzyn. So I think they're going back to the higher seated home tomorrow. That is a great home crowd.
Wow.
I mean, it would be crazy if this series ended up 3-0. It would be crazy. So you're gonna have to watch it. You're gonna have to tune in the Discord. And you're gonna have to find a way to watch.
I want to see it go 5.
Me too.
I really do.
I want more.
And then whoever gets MVP for CEV needs to block Xerxes' number.
Yeah, don't let yourself get cursed by the Jerry Jones of volleyball just for winning a Champions League. Don't go play for Perugia. Don't do it.
No, absolutely not. That's the true ender to a career, who's going to play for Perugia right now. But yeah, this has just been fantastic, and I love to see it. I love to see how good this going on. I want to see it go 5. I really truly do, because
the level is so high. The level of volleyball is so crazy high. I'm sure, like, if the CEV actually like watched volleyball and understood like what was going on the court, they would be salivating for how good their super finals is going to be on the men's side. But considering the governing body for the European continent of volleyball doesn't actually know anything about volleyball, they probably don't even know that the series is going on. But if you know, you know, and we know here on the 9x9.
Yeah, absolutely. Brick, come and welcome to Perugia for now. And
don't speak that into existence.
For now, statistically, has been the best Polish outside this season in any league. So just putting that out there. He might be getting a phone call from Xerxes sometime soon. All right, Rob, do you want to move on from Poland to the German Bundesliga, where we can finally crown one of our first champions? No surprise to anyone, the Berlin Recycling Volleys crown themselves the champions with a 3-0 sweep over Friedrichshafen. Are we at all surprised here?
No, not at all. Good for Berlin. Congratulations to them. I know that while they have been clearly the best team in Germany over the last decade or so, for some reason, like, I know that the German Cup has eluded them a decent bit, but they have always had success in the playoffs. This is their 7th title in a row, if what I'm reading is correct. Not including the 2020 season where nobody won, but 7 in a row. And 10 of the last 11 Bundesliga titles belong to this franchise. That is nuts.
It also brings them equal all-time to Friedrichshafen. Now they're tied all-time at 13 apiece.
That's spicy.
So I think that's big. there was also a bit of a situation in this last match.
Yeah, so I was hoping we were going to talk about this. I don't know really
Oh.
what happened here. Talk us through it.
Well, I don't really know what happened here either. It looked like there was some talking through the net, some jawing, and of course, good old Canadian boy letting his hockey roots shine through. Andre Brown goes underneath the net to have some words. Let's say, I believe it was with Marek Sotola, and eventually they get broken up, and he gets ejected from the match and suspended. Originally, it seemed like there was a bit of confusion because he was ejected from the match based off of a video challenge, and they went back to the video, which technically isn't in the rules. I guess that's what the big conversation was about, but eventually they dropped the challenge. And you know what? That to me, you know what? I think that just happens. You're in the finals, you're losing, you're getting dummied like Berlin was dummying them, and he just got a little bit of a hot head. He's a good old Humber Hawk. If you know anything about the OCAA, you know how the Humber Hawks play. They play with an edge, and they play kind of in your face volleyball. I mean, they're in the middle of Rexdale, which is kind of known as definitely not one of the safest neighborhoods in Toronto, let's say. So yeah, like he's got a bit of an edge on him, and that he's been one of the best Canadian, players playing professionally this year. He led the Champions League in blocks in the group stage. So you know what? I don't have a problem with it. I kind of like it. It shows who we are.
I kind of like it too. It was. I looked at the clip and I was confused by it because it didn't really look suspension worthy. So Friedrichshafen and Berlin and the league office are like figuring out now why there was a video replay used for his suspension, but whatever. It didn't affect anything at all in the end. Berlin was always going to win this series. Berlin was the best team all year long, and therefore, as Bounce House and the league have posted, their sort of all-star team for the entire year. Of the 7 players, 5 from the Berlin Recycling Volleys. So Johannes Thiele at setter, Marek Shotola opposite, Ruben Schott and Jordan Ewert outside hitters, Alexander Nedeljkovic and Anton Brem in the middles, and then Satoshi Suiki, the Japanese guy, at libero. Ruben Schott does not deserve a spot on this list, but other than that, I'm cool with it. I'm stoked to see Jordan Ewert get recognized.
Yeah, me too. And I think it just increases that conversation is, does he have a spot in the USA national team gym this summer?
He does if he wants it. And it sounds like to me there's a chance that he doesn't want it. I think there might be some bad blood there between him and Spara being left out the last couple of years. And I wouldn't really blame him for that, but he would be a very welcome 4th outside hitter. Like think of that room. Aaron Russell, Thomas Jeschke, TJ DeFalco, and Jordan Ewert. That's an amazing group of 4 outside hitters. It's like way better than
whoa. Let's know you know you're missing. It's Garrett Magatuti. you know it doesn't matter that he's playing in Indonesia this year. You know that come VNL, you know that come Olympic qualifiers, Magatuti is going to find a way to weasel himself onto the court. AKA just look up at Papa Spra and be like, put me in, coach.
Embarrassing.
Just do it. Just put me in, coach. I would love to see a second team all-stars for the year for the Bundesliga. I do think it would be chock full of some more Americans and Canadians. I think both Joe and Gage Worsley would make a second team. I think Andre Brown would be on that second team, and I think Jordan Snitzer as well from Lundberg.
I actually think there was one named. I think they
was there.
Yeah, they listed down a couple few guys, but I don't know exactly who they were or where to find it. So I'm sure the Discord can tell us. One of our German friends in the Discord who can dig through the media and find like the lists of all like the sort of team of the year rankings in the Bundesliga by position. That would help. But I do think that Schnitzer was recognized. I think that Joe Worsley was the 3rd setter behind Thiele and Vincic. I'm not sure if Gage was on there for libero or not. So that's in the Discord somewhere.
All right. Sounds good. It seems Berlin's captain was Angel Trinidad.
Yeah.
That's
and he got hurt. He started early in the year, then got hurt. Then Thiele came in and was so good that he never gave up the spot. So I know our friend Philippe in the Discord, our German friend, is a huge Johannes Thiele guy, and he feels very validated that Thiele's had such a good year. So we'll see if he carries that over in the German national team season.
One thing we're looking at here is Berlin's head coach Cedric Enard will be moving out and will be leaving Berlin. I do believe it's Joe Banks from England who's going to be coming in and taking over the reins. Bro, don't ask me. Yeah, I don't know the guy. I wouldn't want to make that move. You won 5 championships in a row and all of that, but hey, that's what he decided to do.
Yeah, very interesting.
It will be very interesting to see if how it will affect Berlin moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like every year we look at Berlin's roster and like, oh, maybe this is the year when they don't win the German league, and then here they are like completely stomping Friedrichshafen. Was it like 9-2 total in sets? Like not even close.
Yeah.
So good for Berlin. Good for them picking up some hardware. I think we can probably move on from that. Let's talk about the Turkish men's league. Because on last week's show, we talked about Halkbank Ankara, who's been the best team with Micah Ma'a, Namir, Thomas Jeschke. They've been the best team in Turkey all year. They picked up Thomas Jeschke midway through. They got even better. But since then, it's been really completely the opposite direction. Match 2 was a 3-dong by Ziraat Bank, and match 3 was today a 3-1 win by Ziraat Bank, and they lead the best of 5 series 2-1 for the title in the Turkish men's league. I don't know what has happened to Halkbank Ankara, but it doesn't look particularly good. They are up against the unstoppable monster that is Wouter Termat, and they don't have a way to stop him right now the last couple matches.
And not to mention, we've got Benjamin Button out there, Mr. Osmani Wantarena, just going absolutely off. He had swung 63% in game number 2. And what was his swing here? I was looking at it earlier.
It's pretty bad today.
He wasn't great today. 5 for 17. Yeah, that's not good at all. But Wouter Termat, man, he's a former Berlin standout, and when he gets going,
about that. Great callback.
When he gets going, and man, even Martin Antanasov was good in this one. He was 15 for 24 with no errors and only got blocked 1 time. So that's super good. Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how Halkbank bounces back, because Namir didn't have his greatest game today. 4 errors, got blocked 7 times. 15 blocks. 15 blocks for Ziraat Bank. 15 blocks for Ziraat Bank today.
That's a massive number. 19 for 42 with 11 total errors. That's not good. Not good for Namir.
I wonder if this matchup is a little bit like, because you've got the glorified Dutch boy in Namir, who, he's been the guy and always the forgotten one, in Wouter Termat. And he's never really it from an external point, it's never really seemed like he's been giving a fair kick at the can, especially with the Dutch national team. And it seems like he's unloading all of that frustration in the past few games in this series.
I have a take that is similar. What if the effect is that because Wouter Termat isn't playing that much for the Dutch national team, he actually gets an off season? And then is able to parlay that into a professional volleyball season, and then once again is awarded an off season. I know this is a crazy concept. I know it's a ridiculous concept for the sport of volleyball, but just think about it. Just think about the concept of an off season. Let that idea float around in your head a little bit as we talk about a Champions League final in a week and a half in the first week of VNL, like 2 weeks later. God, ridiculous. Yeah, Thomas Jeschke, by the way, amazing. Again, 18 for 29 today. Just incredible.
He's really I'm really happy for the way Jeschke has been playing this season and playing himself back into a spot, because I love watching him ball, and I think when he's on his game, he's a guy that can truly ball.
He hit a big ball today that was like pretty close to the 3-meter line, how straight down he hit that ball. It was unreal. Like it was off a free ball. I got him no blockers, and he dented the floor. It was so sick. And however, Halkbank lost. So here they are having to win 2 matches in a row to win the league and hold the kind of title as best team in Turkey that they've had all season. Let's see, when's the next game on that one? It is the 12th, which is Friday. Friday, 12:30 Eastern, game 4 in that series.
Okay, well, that will be definitely one to check out on Friday.
On YouTube for free, not geo-blocked, by the way.
Oh, amazing. Actually, no, I knew that. I was watching the women's the women's games
Yeah,
today.
yeah, same YouTube channel. All right, let's move on to the LNV. Surprising one here. We talked about their dumb format. They are down to the finals, and Chaumont comes out of nowhere. Three Dongs, the best team in the country, at least what we thought, in tours, beats them 25-20, 28-26, 25-17. And now there's only one match left. It has golden set potential on Saturday. But could it be that Tours like dominates the league all year and gets upset by the 4 seed Chaumont in the finals? Or they might be the 3 seed. Either way.
Oh man, especially how Chaumont like really went the distance in all of their series, going to 5 against Saint-Nazaire in the first one, going to 3 with Nantes in the next one. They're battle tested and they've been there, but I wouldn't be surprised to watch Tours bounce back here though. Not at all.
Sure. Yeah, not a great game from Abuba for Tours. 5 errors. Not a good game at all from Luciano Polonsky. 3 aces to 22 service errors for Tours is really bad. So that's all like fixable stuff, but they're going to have to win a match. And I think what we found out is that in this dumb series in the LNV, set score doesn't matter. It's just if you win the match. Like if Tours wins the match on Saturday, regardless of score, they will play a golden set to break the tie. And so that's possible, but I'm rooting for Chaumont. They've got 2 Americans. They've got Pat Gaspin, who's been good. They've got Mike Marshman, who is going to miss this weekend's VLA Cup because he's going to try and win the French League, but he's starting now where he belongs, and he is awesome and really underrated, so I'm really happy for Marsh. Shout-outs to him.
It will be interesting because Tours does get to go back home for the final game.
Great
right?
point.
And they do get to play at home. I know that Chaumont has, is sometimes a difficult place to play as well. So yeah, I do think that it's going to be a little bit different for Chaumont to play away at Tours.
Yep, we'll see what happens. So that one is Saturday. I forget what time it's at. 2 p.m. Eastern. 2 p.m. Eastern Saturday. And that'll do it for the French League. So I think, Everett, all that we have left to do on the show is talk about some stateside stuff. You ready for that?
Absolutely. Because we had why am I blanking on what's this called? The NCAA men's volleyball tournament. It's like the final 7. I don't even know what it is. Go down this past weekend. And Rob, they've finally done it. They finally did it. UCLA, John Speraw are finally at the top of the NCAA in what was a pretty good tournament, a pretty good match. I was only able to watch the finals because all the other ones were on random ass ESPN channels that I couldn't get access to here in Canada. But the finals, for what it was worth, was a very, very good match. That second set when Hawaii came back to win it was one of the best sets of volleyball I've seen all season, all year. It was, and in a long time, it was just back and forth, haymaker after haymaker, big play after big play. You absolutely love to see that in a national final. But at the end of the day, UCLA, just too skilled, too good, and they take home their first national title since what, 06?
Something like that. That sounds about right. Their 20th ever, which is insane. I think people forget about how completely dominant UCLA was in the Al Skates era, winning 19 national titles. But now John Speraw at his alma mater gets his first with UCLA. Remember, he had 3 with UC Irvine. But Speraw now 4-1 all time in national championship games. Pretty impressive. But I know this one meant a lot to him. He was the coach of the year. He took his alma mater to a national championship. That is a big deal. UCLA went through a lot this year. We talked about their setter position, losing Miles Partain, and this wonder kid, Andrew Rowan, true freshman, comes in and ends up being a first-team All-American. So congratulations to UCLA. The championship match was amazing. It was amazing. I think it was the best final for sure since the Long Beach UCLA 5-setter in 2018.
Yeah.
And maybe even since the Loyola versus Lewis Chicago crosstown battle in 2015, which went overtime in the 5th. Like the instant classic match. And like you said, the second set, UCLA led 22-18 and up 1-0 after coming back on their own right in the first. And all the volleyball after that to get to 33-31 Hawaii was just incredible. Like Kevin Barnett and Paul Sunderland were saying on the broadcast, not only did it go deep, but the level was so high. It was a heavyweight fight. The execution level was insane. The guys were bombing balls from the service line. They were passing nails. There were no unforced errors. It was just haymaker after haymaker, amazing offensive execution by both teams. It was so high level. It was such a treat to watch. Big shout out, first and foremost, as far as individual players go, to J.R. Norris, a fifth-year senior coming off the bench in the middle, casually just goes 8 for 11 attacking with 5 aces and didn't even get an all-tournament nod, which we can complain about here in a minute. But he was
talk about that for sure.
Just tremendous. UCLA as a team out-hit Hawaii, which was very impressive, 353 to 299. Andrew Rowan was amazing. Alex Knight was the player of the tournament, was unbelievable on the outside. This was as good of an NCAA final as we've seen in years. I was so happy watching it. It was awesome. It's probably already on YouTube somewhere. If you missed it, go back and watch, especially that second set. It was such a treat to watch.
Yeah, it really was. I was kind of hoping Hawaii was going to force a fifth there and just push it a little bit, especially, they're the 2-time defending national champs, and it just would have made it that much sweeter. But happy to see Hawaii on the top of the podium. Of course, selfishly, my boy Cole Kett got in there a little bit too, the Canadian guy, a little bit. So, yeah, it was so much fun to watch. Yeah, it was just a great match overall. There was so much talent on both of these teams. UCLA, though, significantly more American than Hawaii, right? When you look at that Hawaii team and how they've been built, and they've got, was a setter from Denmark and a right side from Greece and players from all over the place. Hell, even one of their middles, Hogland, was a dual citizenship guy. He is American from Hawaii, but also half Japanese, going to play in the V League next year. So a very international team on that Hawaiian team. And it's funny, Micah Ma'a was kind of alluding to that in a clip that I saw recently from the Out of System a podcast about how some Hawaii guys complain that, UCLA always has the best recruiting class. Well, yeah, they have the best recruiting class from the States, whereas Hawaii goes and gets out these amazing players from all over.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I kind of wanted to address this because we talked about it on last week's show with like the first team All-Americans, only I think 7 of the 12 being American-born kids, and all of the national players of the year since I think TJ DeFalco, none of them have been American, and just kind of where the NCAA stands in terms of a national team breeding ground. And I saw that clip from Micah Ma'a, and he agreed with me, like you just said, that while UCLA is UCLA. Like that that goes way past volleyball in their ability to recruit kids and the resources that athletic department has to field great volleyball teams. Like that goes way past just where they fit in the volleyball landscape. But I'm not here to blame Hawaii or to talk down on Hawaii for going out and getting international players. Like they have always done that. They have always had a lot of international talent. It's just only been recently that it's turned into like legitimate national championship success. So I think it's getting more attention now than maybe it did before. It's not that I'm mad at Hawaii for getting international players. Like Charlie Wade, go do whatever you need to do to build a national championship contender. But I'm happy that UCLA won this national championship because what I want as an American volleyball fan is I want Olympic gold medals. I want Olympic medals. And the best way to create Olympic medals for the American men is to have great NCAA players and teams made up of American kids that go on to support the U.S. national team and hopefully contribute to winning Olympic medals. And since 2008 gold, 2016 bronze, there's been a lot of questions about the pipeline that the NCAA has been to the USA men's national team the last few years. But after this tournament, I feel way better about the NCAA and about the future of the U.S. men's national team as I have in a while. Of UCLA's, they had 5 American starters, and then Guy Guinness, their Israeli middle, went to the bench early, and we already talked about how good Norris was. They really only had one major foreign contributor on that team. other than that, it was just
Davina.
American studs beating a Hawaiian team with 4 international starters, maybe even like 4.5 with Hoagland, like you said. So there's nothing wrong with the way that Hawaii has built their teams. It's just that the American pipeline is needed to catch up and win national championships. And now that they have, I like what I've seen from this group of American players in the NCAA right now. And my understanding is that the age class of 17 and 18-year-olds this year in the States are also really, really good. So I think that we might see the scales tip back in the American favor in the NCAA in the next couple of years. It was kind of nice to see Andrew Rowan outset Jakob Tella in the final, and he did, make no mistake.
Do you think, this is coming from the chat here, but also I want to ask you, do you think Rowan is in that pipeline to kind of join the American national team system? Like, is he in the pipeline to join? And if so, where does he slot in? Is he kind of like, where does he slot in against a guy like Quinn Isaacson, let's say, who led the B team this past summer?
So, yes, I think that Rowan very much is strongly in the picture for the USA. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid because he's 18, and with how good he was this year, like coming in halfway through the year up out of nowhere and being a first-team All-American and now winning a national championship, like people are already trying to crown Andrew Rowan the next great American setter. I do want to pump the brakes on that a little bit. Let the kid have a good college career. Let him play a little U19 this summer. But he absolutely is in the mix to be in the future of the American setter position because of his age alone. Think about it. He's 18, turning 19. Micah Christensen literally just turned 30. That is perfect. In the LA 2028 Olympics, that's in 5 years, right? Micah will be 35. Rowan will be 23. That's perfect. That's the perfect amount of overlap. If I'm going to project the 2028 Olympic roster right now, Micah Christensen will be the starting setter at age 35. And if all things go right with Rowan's development, he will be the backup setter on that team at age 23 and take over the reins after that. Hopefully, that's if all goes well. That's 5 years down the line. But in terms of potential and the way that the things work out and the ages and the timeline, yes, I absolutely see it.
Also, let's mention the most important thing. He's a UCLA guy who plays for Sparrow, right? We know how Sparrow feels about these UCLA guys and keeps on putting them in there, a la Garrett Magutusia.
And Rowan's 6'6". I mean, he's got everything you could need, everything you could ask for. He's 6'6". He's a good blocker. He's a great server. And he doesn't make any boneheaded setting mistakes as a freshman, which is a really good sign. I think he has all the tools, but I don't want to crown him at this point. I want to see him have a great career at UCLA, go win some hardware at like the U19, U21 level for the USA junior programs, which have never been good. It would be nice to finally do some damage on those levels. And then once you're done at UCLA, we can talk about the 2028 Olympics, perhaps.
All right, fair enough. Any other players, like, we talked about Alex Knight. I think Champlin was really good as well for UCLA. I know there's been a lot of talk in the Discord about Merrick McHenry. I'm not so high on the McHenry list about being a national team, one of the next guys up for the national team. I did get to see him play the summer with the B team at the Pan Am Cup in Gatineau, and really wasn't that impressed. And I know he dominated in this final and throughout this tournament and this year, but the style of the way he plays, moving to the professional ranks, the international ranks, I think there's a big gap there. We talked about it a little bit beforehand. He doesn't hit a true quick. He kind of hits that 1.5. Once you start playing guys who are consistently 6'8" and above, you're going to have hands in your face. And for the top guys, like, that's going to be a walk in the park to just go up there and stuff you every single time. And blocking, his blocking just quite isn't there. So, even with the B team this summer, he started at the beginning of that tournament, and towards the end, once they got into playoffs, they went to Toby Zionu, who was much more physical, in my opinion, than McHenry, and hits a ball even higher than him. So other than that, I do think there's some good chances there, as I said, with guys like Champlin and Knight to make a crack at the national team in the next few years.
Yeah, so that's a good point about McHenry, and I kind of tend to agree with you. I don't know how well his style is going to translate, but that doesn't take away from the year that he had. He was amazing, and he was amazing in the NCAA tournament. Great serving as well. But I do want to talk about this stupid, embarrassing all-tournament team. What are we doing here? 7 players. The most outstanding player was Alex Knight, outside hitter from UCLA, very well deserved. Brett Wildman from Penn State, an outside hitter, and Mason Briggs from Long Beach get a spot being the semifinalists. We didn't really talk about the semis, by the way, but UCLA stomped Long Beach exactly like I thought, and Hawaii beat Penn State 3-1. Jakub Tella, the National Player of the Year, gets a spot in the all-tournament team at setter, Demetrios Mouclias at opposite, Ido David, the UCLA opposite, and then Troy Gooch, the UCLA libero, who I thought was the best libero in the tournament. Why are there 2 liberos on this list? Why are there no middles on this list? It is crazy that there are no middles on an all-tournament team list, especially with how good Norris was, with how good McHenry was, with how good Simon Torwey from Long Beach State was. Like, why? This is the easiest thing.
Hoagland as well for
Hoagland from
Hawaii.
Guilherme Voss. Why is it so hard to get an all-tournament team right? Why is this something that the NCAA can never do, men's or women's? I always clown on it once every 6 months. You can set an alarm to making fun of the NCAA all-tournament team. It's crazy. Why can't we get this right? Why are there no middles? Why are there 2 liberos?
Who's picking it? Is it volleyball people or is it NCAA people?
I have no idea. It's probably NCAA people, and that would explain it.
They're like, hey, Briggs has a nice little following there. Let's put him up there. No easy boxes. Let's go.
Briggs was the 3rd best libero in this tournament at best, maybe even 4th. I think Ryan Merck, we got a shout out for Ryan Merck from Penn State, who I know, Chicago kid. He might have been better than Briggs. Gooch was definitely better than Briggs. I think Sheward from Hawaii may have been better than Briggs. Like, we like Mason Briggs, but he wasn't like all tournament level. If you're going to pick a Long Beach State player, it's obviously Simon Torwey. Their middle was clearly their best player in this tournament. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I've really liked Simon Torrey from when I saw him back in the beginning of January when they came up to play McMaster. Like, I really like the way he plays, although once again, another international guy coming out of Spain. So, you got to pick your battles here, Rob. But it's very questionable. A lot of love for Briggs, a lot of love the way he plays the game, but only 5 digs in that semifinal. You got to be having an impact, and if your team doesn't win, like, you got to find a way to have an impact, and yet got to have an impact to be on the all tournament team. So very, very questionable here, selection.
Yeah, we could do better than this. But other than this stupid, embarrassing list, which we make fun of every year, it was an extremely good tournament. It was an extremely good tournament. It was an extremely good final. So great for the NCAA. Hopefully we can parlay that men's attention, that momentum, we can parlay that into this, Everett. I'm very excited. It's a very big weekend. We've found a little lane the last couple of years in staging the VLA Cup this year, the biggest and the best professional level men's volleyball tournament in American history, right the weekend after the NCAA championship. We've done that the last couple of years. I've had a ton of success. Going down in Chicago this week, there are 36 teams playing this tournament, 28 men's teams, and for the first time ever, 8 women's teams at the VLA Cup. This is going to be nuts all day Friday, all day Saturday, and a decent amount of the day on Sunday in Chicago. There'll be VLA ball going on. 81 matches in total.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Are all of the men's teams from Tier 1 and Tier 2 coming to this tournament?
Not all of them from Tier 2 because there's more than 20. So there's all 8 Tier 1 teams will be there, but 20 Tier 2 teams will be there, which is nuts, including a team that is basically just an NCAA all-star team from the various programs this year. And so if you want to know who that is, tune into our show Around the VLA later tonight, where we'll talk about who's on those rosters. But a lot of recent NCAA talent, including some names that you will recognize, will be playing in the VLA Cup this weekend.
What about broadcasting? What are we looking at? Are we going to get a VLA all day here?
Oh yeah. All on YouTube, all on the VLA channel. We've got the all-day broadcast that's been a huge hit this year that will run from first serve 7:30 a.m. Central all the way through every match Friday, every match Saturday, and all the way up to the finals Sunday, where we flip back and forth between the courts. Kind of what Bounce House did this year. Basically, VLA Red Zone. If you like NFL Red Zone, it's that for volleyball for a 4-court tournament. It's going to be awesome. And then the individual streams for all the games, 1440p, 60 FPS, baseline camera angle. It's the good stuff. It's the good stuff. It's what volleyball deserves. You're going to like it.
Who's your favorite going into this event?
I like Team LVC a lot. That's an easy pick because they've had like recent success winning the East Division Cup. But now this is about the point in the VLA season when the overseas guys start to come back, and they're doing that for Team LVC in a very big way. Nick Scherzen and Greg Petty will likely be the outside hitter duo, which is completely nasty. Like you know, Scherzen, Greg Petty was the MVP of the league in Finland this year. They've got reigning MVP of the VLA, Joby Ramos setting. They've got Blake Leeson in the middle. Like the LVC is going to be nasty. So they do have the way their bracket matches up. Likely they'll probably get either Team NV or this NCAA All-Star team. They'll probably get them in the second round, like in the round of 8, which could be pretty spicy. But LVC body for body is probably the best team at this tournament. So I'm curious to see if they can get it done.
I also like how you guys have it set up where you know, in the pool play, you just have tier 1 teams playing each other. And then for all the tier 2 teams play each other, and the best tier 2 teams get to play with the tier 1 teams. I like that, just so you're not getting some blowouts on day 1 and you're getting some meaningful ball.
Yeah, I agree. And every single match counts for points as well, as not just towards winning the tournament, but towards points for the tier 1 playoffs, the tier 2 promotion race. Like all that is really, really significant. So we're going through it all in detail later tonight on Around the VLA. So check out the VLA YouTube channel for that show with myself and Vince Sanzuki. We'll break down the tournament, but you're going to want to tune into this, especially the final. Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern is the final. And that will be a ridiculously good match. It has been every year. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be free to the public. You're going to want to watch it. It will be very, very good ball with some big names. I'm stoked.
All right. Blah, blah, blah. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to check Rob out over on VLA all day. I've checked it out a few times this year, and it's some good stuff. I really like it. So I'm sad I won't be there. I had hopefully planned to, but unfortunately, I just couldn't get the finances in the row to get it going on. So Rob, I'm still gonna be missing out. I'm still looking forward to that first ever trip to Chicago to come visit you.
It'll happen sooner or later, but we'll be reunited before too long. I have a feeling, my friend.
All right, perfect. Love the sound of that. All right, I think that is all for today, guys. As we've said, this is a big week for volleyball. Got Plus Liga going down tomorrow. Games on Thursday, games on Friday, games on Saturday, games on Sunday, VLA all day, all weekend long. So don't miss any of it. As always, head over to the Discord. You got to join that. That's the best way to keep track of everything. Of course, we got our wonderful today's matches. So if you're like, hey, I want to watch volleyball today, you just go over there, click on the today's matches tab. You have the wonderful schedule set up for you to check out. Another reminder, give this video a like if you like us. And if you don't like us, give us a like anyways, because we deserve it. Also, where's Daddy? I've been watching my screen of the broadcast has been in about 93 pixels for this entire time. So I have no idea what's going on. Like even the Where's Daddy on my screen right now looks like an impressionist painting.
Yeah, mine too.
I couldn't tell you what the 9x9 logo looks like. So yeah, no idea. I'm stoked for Rob to tell me in about 30 seconds, but make sure to like this video, go check out thatvolleyball.store, and we will see you next week. Peace.